deeper. Where I find the agent technology has been tried by the industry many times in many applications. So I would like to talk about the agent in deeper in this session. And first I would introduce what is the concepts in artificial intelligence, and then we'll come to what do we mean by an agent, how we can implement agent in real software as a real software code. So I will use some case studies for that to explain the concepts. So what is AI? The people talking about the AI is implementing intelligence on machines artificially. So they are thinking like this way. So they think, okay, we have to implement something new in machines as an intelligence. No, we always try to observe the environment, observe the others, observe the ants, even the human in this society, and try to identify their intelligent behavior and try to implement that intelligent behavior on machines. That is artificial intelligence. We are not trying to implement something artificially on machines. We always try to implement natural intelligence on machines. So if you can observe, if you can experience something, then it is very easy for us to implement something on machines. If you have not seen anything, if you have cannot imagine something, then how can you implement something on machines? So artificial intelligence is an area completely, the natural intelligence, where we try to implement the natural intelligence on machines artificially. That's the concept. So here, there is no definition for intelligence. Someone asked, what is the definition of mother's love? There is no definition for mother's love. But by seeing some observations, by seeing some characteristic and properties of a mother, you can see whether the mother's love is. So there are some properties like take caring, feeding, and look after the baby, and so on. So there are some properties and characteristics shown by the person who hold it when it processes that intelligence or the mother's love. Similarly, we call intelligence when we have some properties, if we can see some properties from that person or from that entity. The first thing is ability to interact with the world. If that person cannot interact with the world and adapt to the world, what is the possibility of intelligence? So we believe if someone is able to interact and move with the world, then he is an intelligent person. We'll come to these things in detail later under the case studies. And the second one, reasoning and planning. The person should be able to reason out and plan his agendas and then reach to the goal if he's an intelligent person. And then the learning and adaptation. The person should be able to continuously learning from his surroundings and show some intelligent behavior. So those are the three properties we identify if a person says that person is intelligent. So there is no definition. Someone can say, okay, in addition to this, I will consider this activity as an intelligence. No problem. You can define as you want the activities. You see, this is my intelligent activities. Then, if you claim someone is intelligent, that is your view. You have to implement it and show that, okay, this is what I call intelligence. And in artificial intelligence, in past, we have tried many techniques. The first technique is modeling exactly how human act, and we call it acting humanly. So this was started with the Turing test, and in the Turing test, what it's tried to say is the philosophy, the art of creating machines that perform functions that require intelligence when performed by people. So it's tried to model the human acting behavior or human behavior. So in this case, the well-known test called Turing test came out, and the concept was there is a machine and a man has been located in two separate rooms, and the interrogator keeps asking questions from the both sides. If interrogator could not identify which one is the machine and which one is the human, then the Turing test claimed that machine is equal intelligence or more intelligence than human. So that is a behavior. Working similar to a human is called acting humanly. This system fails because not all humans are intelligent. So if you put the professor and a machine and ask something related to mathematical questions, the machine will not be intelligent in that case. But if you put a baby and a machine and ask a mathematical equation, that time the machine will be intelligent. So it's not a very comprehensive or proper way of testing human intelligence or the machine intelligence. So that system, and we have many competitions under this Turing test, but still it is not the way we think today in artificial intelligence. But however, this approach gives us a lot of aspects. The first thing is it indicates we need kind of natural language processing. We need the knowledge representation. We need automated reasoning and machine learning. So those concepts came out of this Turing test because the machine cannot written something if it doesn't know what is natural language, how to process the natural language. It cannot make any decision if it doesn't have automated reasoning ability. To answer a query or answer a question, you need to have a knowledge representation, so a way of knowledge basis. So all these concepts came after the Turing test. And then people moved, it was not successful, and then they moved to the thinking humanly. Forget about acting humanly. Let's implement machines as intelligent machines by checking if they can think as human. When it comes to the think as human, they call, how the philosophy is the automation of activities that associate with human thinking, activities such as decision making, problem solving, and the learning. The problem of this approach was that how can you model the cognition of human? Even today's science cannot understand how human thinks. Even today's science cannot explain the cognition behind the human thinking. So how you can model as similar to the human thinking? So it was difficult. So it was not considered because we could not develop machines similar to human thinking because simply the reverse engineering is not possible for us because we don't know how human thinking. If we know how human thinking, we could reverse engineering and get the concepts and implement on machines. And then thinking rationally. They forget about thinking humanly and acting humanly and then move to the thinking rationally. Modeling how idealization should think. The study of the computation that make it possible to perceive, reason, and act. And in this concept, we only focus on the thinking process, the reason process. Rather than thinking as a human, we want the machine to think rationally, think correctly, or correct reasoning using mathematical formulas. So in this case, to correct reasoning, always based on the logical reasoning. So to have the logical reasoning, you have to have the knowledge represented in terms of logics and do the deductive reasoning. So how you can represent such a complex knowledge, uncertainty presence, and a lot of decisions making within a couple of seconds, and then the situation or the information is fully not available. So how you can model such a complex systems using logic or set of symbols? It was very difficult, so it was also failed. And then move to today what we are practicing, acting rationally. The acting rationally is how the artificial intelligence modeling all this model today. This is the basic concepts. Modeling how ideal agents should act and what the branch of computer science that is concerned with the automation of intelligent behavior. In this approach, we always focus on, rather than solving hard problems as human things, we try to solve simply the hard problems. Or some other technique where you reason or make the decision and then you have to act on the environment. So what is this agent? I have seen many agent softwares that have been implemented in the Sri Lankan software companies, and I have seen many of them doesn't have the concepts implemented correctly. So today's session hereafter I will explain in detail how to implement the concepts in terms of the simple languages. Agent is a computer system that is situated in some environment and capable of autonomous action in this environment in order to meet its design objectives. There are three terms that is more important: the autonomous, environment, and design objectives. So what is this environment? What is so critical about the environment? How many of you would like to have a coffee or a chat right now? We can't do it because the environment has put constraint on us. You can't even stand up if you want, have a walk around and have a chat and have a small game to play here. No, we can't, because the environment or the setup in this environment has put some constraint on us. Though we are the most autonomous people or the animal in this world, even our activities or the actions have been constrained by the environment. So that is why the environment is very significant here. When you work with the environment, knowingly or unknowingly, the environment puts some constraints on the action where you can select. So the environment limits the actions where you can select autonomously. So from those actions, you have to reach to the goal that has been defined under the design objectives. So that is the idea of agent. It is not picking some actions as you want. So that is why when you define the agent, that's why we always ask, define your environment. The environment will always affect on the actions which you play on that situation. So what is this? How you select the actions in an autonomous way. How you can reach to the objectives by selecting the actions in an autonomous way. So we'll see that. We'll see what is acting rationally in terms of some other philosophical understanding. So an agent acts rationally if it selects the action that maximizes its utility or expected utility if there is an uncertainty. The idea is very simple. Now I am under a particular environment. The environment has put constraints on me. I have to select some action to reach my goal. So what are the actions and what sequence of actions I will select? That is, the idea is this. If you select the sequence of actions, that will guarantee that will maximize your utility. So the sequence or the selection of actions should be in a line that will give you guarantee that will maximize my utility. What is the utility? The utility is either can be a profit or time or something you would like to maximize when the agent reach to its own goal. So you select the actions in such a way that it will maximize the utility or minimize the cost when it's reached to the goal. So that is called acting rationally, and that agent is called rational agent. Okay. So in the rational agents, as you see, there are three concepts. You have to perceive the environment, and then you have to act on the environment. The acting is the selection of action. Perceiving is the selecting or reading the environment input. So there some kind of a thinking process should happen to select which kind of or which series of actions I will work with the environment. So the basic structure for any rational agent is that the algorithm in the bottom, you can see that agent has the memory about the world, its environment, what is the current state of the environment, and so on. Once it's received the input from the environment, he will update its memory about the environment. And then to the current environment situation, he will select set of actions and play that action on the environment. So he will select this action if it is a rational agent in such a way that will guarantee the maximum utility will be achieved. So in the agent development environment, we have a lot of approaches, but it is very easy to have this belief, desire, intention, architecture implemented in agent systems. In this case, what is a belief? Belief is what agent believe as a true about its environment. So what I have observed from my environment is the fact that I know about the environment. That is the belief. The desires. The desires are the things that you would like to achieve when you are working with the environment. It can be a design objectives or somewhere middle between not the final goal, some middle goals. And the intention is the final goal. So the other side will show you the entire algorithm. The first concept is you believe or you read the incept, or here you get the update from the environment, and then you have some kind of an initial intention. I want to have something like sell some product to the customer, and you will see the customer in a boring mood. So how are you going to sell the product to the customer? The desire should be now make the customer active and get some kind of in a happy mood, otherwise you will not get your product sold. So then you have to have this plan defined. From the plan you will have to generate sequence of actions, and you have to execute these actions. I will execute this algorithm using a case study. Okay? So let's take this case study. You know, the web is, always the people is trying to mine the web in terms of a text or images or videos. So there are a lot of agents have been used. So let's say I have a case where the agent is trying to fulfill the customer needs. A customer can be any person, like log into a system looking for a product. And what is the environment? Environment is web. Now I have defined what is environment as or text data or the images. I'm not talking about the videos he can browse. And the objective is to fulfill the customer needs and the possible actions. Now he has a list of actions that is he capable of executing on the environment. You can read, you can write, you speak and search, learn, play music and play games. That's all you are possible to do on this environment, nothing else. So what you have to achieve is to fulfill the customer needs. You can be in a bad mood or a sad mood. You have to get this objective done or the goal achieved. So let's say the product is selling to the customer who is very bored. So the percept, what the customer read or the agent read from the environment is the emotional status of the customer. It can be a text or voice queries, and he can detect the emotions by using image processing, voice queries like speech recognition, text queries like natural language processing. Once you pursue the environment, there should be a process to interpret what he has pursued. You can't take the environment perceivement or the input as it is, as the information you require to make a decision. We need a kind of a translation of the percept to the real information that percept will bring. So this percept will add the belief to the agent. So now the agent has observed something from the environment. Present the customer is bored, so he is adding a percept called mood is bored, and he needs a book for like artificial intelligence. That is what the agent has so far observed from its environment. Now he comes with the desires. Desires, he has a lot of desires. This desire is like a goal. So this exclamation mark is for a goal to indicate. So he's trying to achieve either satisfy the customer who is not happy and customer needs something, or he will try to have maximize the profit for his company where he have a happy customer, what is the customer needs. And then from these desires, according to this belief, what he cannot go directly to the maximized profit because the customer is not in a happy mood. So he has to first go to the desire, first one, that is if the customer is not happy, then how to make him satisfied. So far the percept and selecting the intention, we have not still filtered the actions. And then action, you cannot execute one action, see what will happen, and another action to see what will happen, no. Once you execute the series of actions, there is a way to execute, we call it is a plan. So once you have a plan, end of the plan, you can calculate what is my success rate, whether I have succeeded or failed. After executing one action, you cannot say whether you have a plan is failed or succeed. So there are many plans you can execute under one agent, and you can define how to make a customer happy. If it is not happy customer, this is the condition, this is the things that have been given you as a initial stages, play background music, making customer happy, like that. So why I calling this plan again under this one, the recursive calling, this is to make sure you will execute this action until you see the customer is happy. So until the customer is not happy, this continue as a declarative procedure. So you keep on continuing with the chatting with the customer until you find the customer is happy. And what is inside this one is, that is his self-observation. By executing this one, I have been success when the customer is bored, 0.7 around probability. When it is sad, I have the success rate in probability in terms of 0.6. And then there is another action or a plan when the customer not happy. You have a chat with him what he is looking for. No need to give some guide or promotional advertisements. You're just talking with him regarding this concept what he is looking for and try to making him happy. So the self-annotation is something like that. So those are the plans. So how to make it autonomous? So he has already inbuilt plan that can be given by the developer at the time of his developing, or then he has the self-annotated values to indicate how much the plan was successful, what is the probability of successful. And then he can generate plan. So he knows what are the possible actions he can perform, and for the what conditions. By combining these two plans, he can generate new plan. So that is the new knowledge for him, and he can go and find out what is my success rate. It is still new. You don't know the success rate. You can try it out and have a value for that. So that is learning the plan. So in this case, you have a set of plans. Now, what is autonomy? Autonomy is selecting the actions according to internal status, capability of acting independently, exhibiting control over their internal status. So how to do that? So what is the internal status? Internal status is the belief state. As you see here, he is believing that the customer is a bored customer. So based on that percept, he has to select one of the plan already existing, or he can generate new plans. So the autonomy is there. So how to make the agent learn and adapt to the environment? What is learning? According to the definitions, machines should be capable of making changes to themselves over time with the goal of improving their performance on the task confronting them in particular environment. It is easy to say like this. If I did a work yesterday, a task T yesterday with the probability of success 0.6, if I have learned from that task, I will be able to perform the similar task or the same task in tomorrow with a higher probability of success. Then the person has learned. Because he has learned from the environment and the feedback from the whatever he has done in yesterday, and he will be able to perform it better tomorrow by using that knowledge. So, and initially the agent will not be like us, normal customer or receptions as you expected it to be. It will take some time to grow and exhibit real knowledge. So let it to learn. So what kind of thing agent can learn? Agent can learn plans. So these are the action it can perform: play background music, have a chat. And so then let's introduce a new action. You can introduce like a game with the client. So what he can do is, this is the tree shows what are the possible combinations of actions you can perform under when the customer is in the bored mood. So he can introduce, he has tried this one, why not try this one? And he can try this one, he has tried this one, why not try this one? He can expand the tree and calculate the successful rate as his observations. So once you introduce new actions to the customer or the agent will be able to expand this tree and calculate his own observations of how much I have been successful in this mission. So like that. So he's learning plans. And the other thing is he can learn from his own knowledge base. So how to make the agent to learn from his own knowledge base? So this is my undergraduate project. I have decided that. So this project is to learn from its own knowledge base and search the web and learn. It is continuously learning. So the idea is of this agent is to learn from, about the cricket informations. So there are a lot of articles written in the web regarding the cricket information. So cricket articles are there. So how you can learn from those articles? So what we did was we give the agent a seed patterns. The seed patterns is like POS tag is like part of speech tags command and natural language processing. So you can identify whether it's a subject or object or something else or noun phrases or something like that. So these seed patterns will indicate the agents. Okay, if you find something in this similar form, then take these as instances of these patterns. So you are giving some set of these patterns are rules. Go and find text in the web that match with this rule. And with these patterns, we call them seed patterns. It will extract some instances from the web. So Sangakkara is a cricketer and Mahela is a member of Sri Lankan team. So not only that, there are a lot of sentences in the web that the article you have extracted. So there can be a Mahanama is a left-hand batsman and Mahela is a right-hand batsman and Sangakkara is left-hand batsman. So what we are trying to do, you have the rules. Now you give the rules, you have some instances. There are some instances which is not classified under rules. We always move from known to unknown, not from unknown to known. So you know about now Sangakkara and Mahela is a Sri Lankan cricket members and he's a cricket team, in the cricket team and they are cricketers. So anything related to this name in this article might be, they are also giving some patterns for us. So here are two patterns, that is left-hand batsman and the right-hand batsman. That is learned from the Sangakkara and Mahela, not from the Mahanama, because the Mahanama is still unknown to us. But Sangakkara and the Mahela is known to us. So whatever talking about them under that article should be something related to cricket, so we can extract that patterns. So the agent has the ability to extract that pattern and add it and promoted it as a permanent pattern to the databases, his knowledge base. So now, starting with the 2, now he has 4. He can continually doing that and until the web exists. So that is how the agent learns. So the agent can learn plans, the agent can expand his knowledge base while interacting with the web. Okay. Another way of, in the case of, so that is a single agent. When it comes to the multi-agent systems, the multi-agent systems is not about like you have one set of agents working their tasks separately. The multi-agent system, you have to have interactions between these agents. So what are kind of interactions you should have under these agents? So the interactions like knowledge sharing. You have to have some kind of executions of plan. Okay, this is my observation, you try it with your client. So the agent can share their plans, the agents can share their knowledge bases. So if it is the case, instead of my experience, I can learn from others' experience as well. So in here, this is self-success rate. This branch shows what is the successful rate of agent A. And this shows what is the success rate of agent B. So no need a single agent learn everything. You can have many agents that working for a common goal and their experience can be shared among the agents. So the plan can be shared. Similarly, the knowledge bases can be shared. Okay. So finally, we have discussed the learning and adaptations, the autonomy, and the reasoning. What is reasoning? The reasoning, ability to model the external world, given input, and ability to deal with the unexpected problems under the uncertainties. Is the time? Okay. Okay. So in this case, I consider the reasoning as the ability to backtrack and realize new plan when the prediction fails. So if you go to this algorithm again, you can see that now we have initially the belief, and you have initial intention, and then you execute this while loop until you execute the entire plan. So what you will see is that you see the observation as a C function from the environment, and that will update what you believe as true, and then you get the current intention and your belief states and check whether do I have another desires or do I have to update my intentions. And from those things, the intention and the desires and what are the possible set of actions you can perform on this environment, agent will select this set of a plan. A plan is a series of actions. Once you have the plan completely executed, or when you are sure you are not have still reached to the intention you wanted, or until you realize this intention is not possible, because if the browser closed by the customer, there is no point of trying to satisfy the customer. So you have to execute this one until you reach the goal, or the entire plan is executed, or until you realize this is not going to work. Okay, this is a stack-like thing where you get the head of the element, so it will give you a particular action, and once you execute the action, you will get the next element, and you keep on doing things. So I told you acting rationally is percept and acting, percept and acting. So that means once you percept, you have to find out the action what I have done is really worth to execute. So after you execute something, because you can't control the entire world, you can control only your work. So only your actions. Not only your action affect the environment you are working with. There are a lot of actions that affect the environment you are working with. So here, what you have to do is, once you execute the action, you have to read the environmental status again and see, is it what happened, is what I wanted to happen. If it is not, you need to revise your belief and revise or reconsider your intentions. Otherwise, there is no point. And then, if you find it is not going to achieve the intention under this condition, you have to update or revise your intentions. So that is reasoning. So how are you going to make it reasoning? So the reasoning in this case, ability to backtrack and reinitialize new plan when the prediction fails. So let's make the agent reasoning. So let's identify now. I have a new rule called making customer happy, which is not happy customer, and have a chat. Those are the first things. And now you get a new percept. The mood is happy. Now the percept has been updated because you have either play background music or have a chat with him. Now he's in a form of getting or something, buying some from the website. So you interpret, okay, the customer is in happy mood. So now the intention has been updated. Now I can sell a product. So maximize profit, happy customer, what his needs. And then when it comes to the maximize profit or making profit, you have the condition happy customer. Then you can do similar items, browsing similar items and the odd items. What are the things that have customer made positive and negative? That is sentiment analysis in natural language processing. And then develop new plans. So we started with what? We started with when the customer is not happy mood. We had the goal as make the customer, satisfy the customer need. Now we have observed, now okay, the belief has been updated. Now the customer is happy, so we changed our intention as well, make the profit. So that is how we have reinitialized our plan. We are no need to keep on playing background music once the customer changes the mode, right? So we have to do it until customer changes mood to the happy mood. And once it is reached to that goal or that status, we have to change our plan. So the change plan where you will get the
maximum profit or making profit or maximize utilities. Okay, this is again my undergraduate project. So there you have a set of agents has been defined. You can see we can define, this is JSON language, we can define the belief, and you can create, give some initial goals. This is how we define plans. So he has the ability to create his own plans and the set of actions, and then you can define self-annotations, what are the observations, where you receive these observations, and so on. So if you execute this one, you can see the, okay, if you debug this one, and this is simple scenario, I will show you how the updates will be happen. So this is the initial belief status, and here our intention generated like this. So if you debug it, now you can see is how the self annotations comes like create peers. This is self mean, that is its own observations. If you keep on doing these things, it will update its beliefs and so on, and update its intentions as well. So this is how we build agents in artificial intelligence. Okay. So the language is JSON. You can master it better than me. Okay. So to sum up the status of artificial intelligence, I select there are a lot of things happening around. So I just select the deep learning stuff because it is my field. It's very easy for me to concentrate. So there are a lot of people talking about what is deep learning and why we need deep learning, why all of a sudden the artificial intelligence has moved to the deep learning area. So the idea is simply this. Okay, so I have give you 2 seconds to remember this number. Okay? Right. Can I have one to tell the number? Here? So I asked the number. Do you read like 120,000, like 1, 2, 3, 0, 0? So that's deep learning. So when you remember something, you don't remember the number as a whole. You remember the number as an element and their repetition and their organization. Okay? So that is deep learning. So in the basic concept is, in the artificial neural network has been moved to the deep learning. Why? Because of the large volume of data, we have an algorithm in backpropagation. Any backpropagation network with one hidden layer is able to approximate any complex situation in this world. 3-layer network can do anything in this world, can approximate successfully. If it is the case, why people have moved to the deep learning? The deep learning basic understanding is learning using deep architectures. So deep architectures mean you have many layers, not like 3 or 4, 10 to 20 sometimes. You have not like 10 to 20 neurons, it's like million or 100,000 neurons sometimes. So why we need such a big architectures? Because if I ask something to write in Java like in a one sentence, a mathematical equation, and if I ask you to write the same equation in couple of steps, which one will be easier for you to convince and comprehend? The second approach. So you can represent the same thing in a compact level as well as in an expand level. So when you represent something in an expanded level, it is easy for others to understand what is happening inside. And also you can reuse that knowledge as some kind of a part of another one. And that is the idea. Though the current version of neural network has the ability to model the world, it is very difficult and it's compact. And therefore the people had to move the number of large layers. When they moved to the larger layers, the problem was this. The backpropagation is always try to minimize or calculate its weight values. If you know the neural network, it's calculate the parameters by minimizing the error. When we develop models, we always try to develop models where it will have the minimum error. So the backpropagation tried to calculate the model parameters by minimizing the error. It is a differentiation technique. So when it comes to the large layers or the huge number of layers, many layers, when you go into the upper hierarchy, the derivatives tend to 0 because every time you get the differentiation, you lost the 1 degree. And when you reach to the top layers, the degree or the differentiation vanish on there, you know, gradient values. We call vanishing gradient problem in backpropagations. So that's why when the people had to move to the many layers, they had to build new algorithm as well. So all these algorithms that come under convolution or the deep learning, just because of the problem in the backpropagation, they have introduced new approaches integrate into the backpropagation. So in this is in the convolutional networks, the idea is very simple. So as you see, what you did in the, if you take it as an image, this text as an image, what you have done is like you pick the number 1 and look for the number 1. No, it is not there. Then you took the number 2 and you see where the number 2 is. And take the next window, that is number 2. Okay, where are you? Are you in somewhere else as well? And 3 as well. That is convolution in deep learning. So here you get small windows of features, a feature, or it can be an edge or something, and you're looking for the search the entire image for such a feature, and then you generate a feature map. If you present it, yes, 1. If you don't have that feature, half of a feature, you put 0.5 like that. That's the concept. So you can search many features as you want, and that will give you a lot of feature maps. What is the effect of that translations? It doesn't matter where you located in the image, you will be recognized. That's the idea. So it doesn't matter where you will be in the picture, you will be recognized, right? So finally, they have applied the max pooling. The pooling is like you get the maximum values of these cells and then get the highest value. You get this window over there and let's say 2 by 2 vector, and then from there you take the maximum value and put it there. What is the idea? Translation invariance. Doesn't matter the color incentive is or nothing, you pick the right bright point. So by doing that, they have been able to classify all the images, most of the images in the web. Not only the label, everything, and the graphs, every pixel has been labeled. And even from the other side, they have been able to localize and not only identify it as a white wolf, and also identify what is the location. So that is the power of deep learning. And then there's another technique called long short-term memory. And what they have tried simply is like they have the ability to regenerate handwritten data. So for an example, if I have the internet, yeah. So this is their website. What they have done, like they have trained the network of different writing styles. And if you type something like this and select something, okay, I missed it. So it can generate my text under that style. So the idea in this case is that they have a network called long short-term memory. So does anyone know neural network? No. So the idea of artificial intelligence or the concepts of AI, there are concepts like, okay, how to represent a memory or how to do a predictions. So in this case, what you see here is a memory network. And you can see this is the first layer neurons, and the second layer neurons, and third layer, fourth layer, and so on. What is the idea of this concept is, let's take like this. We have a model like called recurrent neural network that has the ability to model the human memory. And the problem is that, as all we have the problem, that is when we always are overwhelmed by the information, we forget many of the things, right? So when there are a lot of informations get for us in the very short time, we tend to forget many of them. So the same problem is existing in current recurrent neural networks in artificial intelligence. So in order to overcome that, they have introduced a new architecture for the neuron that is called LSTM. So the problem of the neuron is the forgetting, because we have asked it to remember everything, something which is outdated because we have trained at the beginning, and something we need to remove from its memory because there was no way to remove that memory. So what they have introduced is this architecture where they call gated concept. In the gated concept, this is input gate and this are just functions, and this is the forget gate and this is the output gate. What is the idea is this is the cell is the memory. The two input gate controls what you will write in the cell or in the memory. So the forget gate controls what will be removed from the memory. If you find that data is outdated, the forget gate can remove that. It's a function, mathematical function that will give you 1 and 0. So if it is find 1, it will go and pick the correct memory location and remove that particular information from the memory. And when the cell find the send information is significant, I need to generate some output, and that output is activated this gate, it will give the network will give the output. Otherwise, then the network will not give any output. So that is how they have controlled how information can be stored in neuron without disturbing its memory. From that, there is the architecture for this handwriting stuff, and this Gaussian window, now in a NLP or a neural network, we always be able to get the text, like Subha Fernando, it will identify SUBH and all these things. And how to make the window or how to make it right according to the style that we have selected, that have been done using this Gaussian window. To write something, you know what to write, you don't know how to write now. To how to write, you can control it by controlling the pen position. If you can control the pen position, then since you know what to write, if you control the pen position, you can control the style of your writing. So the pen position is defined through this Gaussian window. So the parameters over there like A, B, Z will define the width of the window, the location of the window, and the importance of the window. So they have learned it from that style. So how to position my window and what is the width of the text should be and how important it should be. And if it is less important, you are not going to write like this, you are going to write like this. So that style was using this research, and they have been able to write any text using any human style. If you have given your writing style, they will train your network, and whatever you are typing will be translated or converted to that style. And finally that convolution net and LSTM has come together into the Google, and they now have the ability to read any images or the house numbers in the Google web pages without any disturb. They can even recognize the simple things in these cluttered environments, like here they have recognized everything, the dog is there and everything from these backgrounds. Okay, so finally we all know the Google car is there, and they have this robot has been developed as the autonomous vehicles. So that is what I wanted to highlight. So we cannot go to if we can go to the autonomous robots, that is good, but we can start with the software autonomous agents. So then we can see the hardware peripherals ready. Then we can move with the software industry. And in Sri Lanka, so we can ultimately dream of something like that. And the academic disciplines of AI, people think it is statistic. It's not statistics. It's a combination of many academic disciplines. In fact, I have the computer science and statistics background, so it's a merge of many disciplines. So we need philosophy, the logical reasoning, and language and rationality. We need mathematics. The AI is completely mathematics subject developed under the computer science. And we need probability and statistic for machine learning stuff because to learn and predict some values and foresee the environmental status. And economics, utility and decision theory based on the fact how you can make the decisions. And neuroscience, how brain works, how we can make the model of neural networks works. Psychology and cognitive thinking, because when it comes to the autonomous and working with the customers online, you need some psychology implemented on your agents as well. And then computer engineering, building fast computers, parallel computing, all this CUDA programming we need. And control theory, how to maximize the objectives over the time. And finally, linguistic, natural language processing, all these things are come under that. So it's a combination of many fields, not a computer science alone, or neither mathematics, and it's not engineering either. So it's a combination of many things. So if you need to have AI develop, you need the people from all of these areas. So that is what I wanted to pass. Thank you very much.